as they swim about their home. I love my little fishies as they swim about their home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. I have traveled the world over, but never found a peace that comes from watching my fishes as they swim about their home. My heart is happy and I am content to sit and watch them swim. I will not be alone while these fishies are in my home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home.
Well, hi, Dina.
Hey, Papa Fish, how's it going?
Good, nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
Good to be here with everybody. Morning Star Quaid is here. Daniel Nichols, Ray Thompson, House of Lacey, David Dean, Dusty Steele, Barb Wire, ABBD, Hell, the gang's all here. Nice to be with you all. Adam Armbruster, Canary Guitar Solo.
That's it.
Indeed.
I think they like it. You can hear them chirping happy in the background.
Yeah, I know it. Bob S. Nice to be with you all. Good to be here, guys. What a weekend we've had. Mercy.
That's for sure.
Harrowing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Harrowing stuff. Oh. How do we balance ourselves? How do we balance ourselves when all about us is mad? Mad.
Yeah, it is.
The line from Hamlet, the consul to the king, whose name is Polonius, is describing Hamlet, who is just out of his mind since his father was killed by his uncle, who has assumed the throne and married his mother. What's worse? So Polonius says about Hamlet, your noble son is mad. Mad call I it, for what else is to describe madness but to be nothing else but mad?
Right?
Mad, let us grant him then, and thus define the cause of this effect, or rather say the cause of this defect. For this defect, effective, comes by cause.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on and on. Polonius. I played Polonius in college.
Oh, that's cool.
We did our own rendition of Hamlet, and I loved the role. Loved the role. It was a joy. Polonius gets it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
He talks. He's talking with the queen, Ophelia, No, Ophelia is his daughter, talking with the queen. Can't remember her name. Anyway, they're trying to figure out what's wrong with Hamlet. And he said, look, tell you what, call Hamlet to your chambers, and I'll hide behind a curtain, and I'll listen in, and we'll figure out what's going on. Well, in Elizabethan English, the curtain is called an arras, Arras. It's a drape that hangs against the wall. So Polonius is back there hiding behind the arras. And Hamlet is just beside himself. He's wild. He's manic. He sees ghosts everywhere. And he sees Polonius's feet sticking out of the bottom of the arras. So he takes his sword and he rams it into the curtain, killing Polonius. Polonius stumbles out from the curtain, grabbing his gut. No, his backside. He was stabbed in the backside. And as he goes down, I ad-libbed the line, stabbed in the arras.
That's good.
And it broke the house up. Stabbed in the arras. Great times. Like the third time I'm jumping from an older live to the Sunday live. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. David Dean. Who else is here? Adam, Diane. Hello on this hot day in Kansas. 105 degrees in Kansas. That's a little warm. Can I do 50% water changes in the new tank, says PC Core. PC, it's your tank. You can do whatever you please with your tank. There are no tank police. There's no one telling you what to do and what not to do. It is yours. If you want to do 50% water change, by all means. No one needs to give you permission. You don't need permission. Now, if you were to ask me, Father Fish, would you do a 50% water change in your aquarium? I might suggest that there should be a good reason to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my advice to you. Is there a good reason? Danny Ken is there. Hello, Kenny. Nice to see you. Good to have you with us. Danny usually comes in pretty late. Nice to see you here early on. We need to get Danny to come up. Kenny, can you come up Wednesday night on our show and tell? We'd love to see some of your tanks in your fish room. And
Yeah, definitely.
about what you're doing. That would really be great fun. You know who did not come up Wednesday was Roxy.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking for her and hoping she would. Gonna have to get in touch with her and see if we can get her to show up.
Yeah.
We need information about snails.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Ingalls is here. He says, peace and love to everyone. If we let everyone know we love them, it may help a little at a time. Sounds like Kenny. Haven't seen Kenny for a while. Daniel is our new Kenny. What else? From the elbow. What's from the elbow? Depends on where from which you come. .com. Whatever. Who is this? Beretka. Beretka needs a wrench. That isn't a moderator. Got a wrench for Beretka. Daniel said I'm a big fan of Romeo and Juliet. A true story of forbidden love. I love Hamlet, but I find his character too conflicted to be much good. But I digress, don't we? Well, he certainly was conflicted. No doubt about that. Best man of the world. Such a great person. He know everything, much love. Right? Who's he talking about?
I'm not sure.
Uh, call 100 fish police. Bobby Fish at our number one, number one. They better bring handcuffs, Holly says. Fish handcuffs. How would that even work?
Right.
I saw a fish cow. The last image I had was of somebody had a porpoise flopping on the ground with the head of a cow and horns. Don't I guess it was AI. I don't know.
Yeah,
It looked very real.
yeah, AI can do some amazing things.
Captain Jack. Hello. Hi, Stan. Stan Pittman is here. Hello, Stan. We're at the bottom. Yes, we're at the bottom. This will be the last time I'll be able to be caught up. Oh, righty. Fin cups. Fin cups. Fin cups. There you go. Hey, I'm gonna have to take a break here. I haven't eaten all day, not legitimately.
Oh no,
I've been kind of munching through the day
no.
and not munching healthfully. In fact, munching very unhealthfully,
Mm.
as it turns out. Let's see what's going on. What's going? We just got a lot of our cars up. Gotta look out for the sea cows. Picked up a 55 acrylic for 80 bucks. Tips on buffing out scratches on the inside. Generally, yeah, there's an easy way to do it. Go to an auto supply store and buy the buffing pad for the lens, for the auto headlight lens. You can use that in the water on the inside. There are no chemicals involved. It's just a buffing it's a buffing pad, and it will take fairly heavy scratches out, enough that it'll clean it up so you won't notice. Generally, scratches on the inside are not a problem because the water fills them in. The only time they show up is when algae grows in the scratches, and then you see them. But if you use that buffing pad on the inside, it doesn't hurt anything at all. You can use it with the fish and everything right in the tank, and it'll clean it up pretty good. It does an amazing job. And it's simple. It's very easy, very simple. It doesn't get all the scratches out, but it gets rid of the opaque uh, look of it. And the water fills in the scratches, so you really cannot see them. As I said, the only time you see them is when algae grows in the scratches. But then you can use that buffing pad and clean it, and it works real well and holds up well. The alternative is to break it down and buff it using using various buffing, an assortment of buffing size pads, all the way down to like 5,000, 3,000. It's just very time consuming. But the auto lens pad does a real good job. It only works inside the tank. Does not work effectively on the outside, but it does work if there's water in the tank. Daniel is making spaghetti. You can have some if you can get to Michigan in the next 20 minutes. I will be there in spirit, Daniel. What sauce? What is your sauce? That makes a big difference to me.
The same here.
Now, what is the sauce? We need We need to know. House of Pisces wants to know what Dina has been up to.
A lot this weekend. I've got this filled up finally and diverted a disaster where I stirred up the sediment too much because I decided to put the water hose through the window and just fill it up. So got that fixed, just got to plant it. Got another tank behind me here, mostly full, which well, you can't see it for the mic. There. Got that one mostly full, 20-gallon. And been working on the backdrop for my paludarium. So
Oh, show us. You showed me that earlier.
this is going to be the backdrop. All, live moss will go on these areas. Live plants will be inside the little pockets.
Wow.
Yeah, when it gets done, it will be a really good turtle habitat. It's going to be fun.
Neat. Darb says the acrylic tank is empty. Well, then go ahead and buff it. Yeah, the final stages take all of the compound off because the final stages are like a 3,000 grit, an extremely fine grit. And then there's a buffing pad at the very end that kind of it warms it and causes whatever minor irregularities are there to kind of soften. You can make acrylic look like water.
Yeah.
It's really amazing stuff. The only issue is it scratches easily. So you want to kind of keep things away from it. When we put acrylic in the National Aquarium, these were, I think the big ones were 6-inch thick acrylic.
Wow.
Back in the 70s, each panel was something like $50,000 per panel. They're probably $500,000 today for
Probably.
one panel. So what we did was when we put the panels in, we put 1/4-inch plexi up against the front and the back, flush against it, so that any scratching that would take place would be on the 1/4-inch plexi and not on the 6-inch thick plexi. Now, I assume they've kept that. I don't know. After a couple of years, the sheets could be replaced, taken out, buffed out, or replaced with new ones. So it's a pretty good system for being able to protect it. And of course, done right, there was no distortion. You just saw right through both of them. Yeah, it's very expensive stuff. Okay, Doug. Did we find out what the sauce was? I want to know what the sauce is.
Same here.
I don't know. Oh, gee, Father just sent me free plants with purchase of compost soil. Did I know? You're a lucky guy. Turtle and acrylic no bueno. Really, that's true. Absolutely true. A turtle and a glass tank with a silicone seal is no bueno because the turtle has claws. You really have to keep their claws trimmed or filed down because they
Wow.
will get in the corner and scratch out that acrylic and make the tank leak.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
6 inches of acrylic is crazy big. Oh, it
Yeah.
is. It is. Well, these were 20 feet tall. They were holding an astounding amount of water, like the Tampa Aquarium. They're so deep. You really need that thickness at the base just to hold the pressure in.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Oh, he's got onion, garlic, diced tomatoes, green ground beef, and a red sauce thickened with tomato paste. Pretty basic. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Wonderful. Jules is filling a 46 bow. Need to get Jules a wrench here. Carly Pig is here. Hey, Carly. 100 gallons. What a reservoir. Great indoor pond. Yeah, the girls put together a tub, an acrylic tub um, as a turtle container. They've got
Mhm.
it escaped and so forth. And it's kind of nice, but what I'm thinking is to get a little, like about a 3 foot pool, kiddie pool,
Mhm.
and set that up as a turtle pond. They've got it
Yeah.
sitting on the floor um, in front of a couple of tanks, sitting up on concrete blocks. And I think the kiddie pool would look a lot cooler and would also keep the turtle in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, turtles need rocks. Let's see. Jules is saying changing filters in a 20. Can I stick the 20-old filter in the 46 or startup? Absolutely. Always a good idea. Always a good idea to use a used filter in the new tank. Vanoksky is here. Hey, Vanoksky. Nice to see you. Lloyd Goodyear.
So
Ooh.
what are you planning on eating for supper, Father Fish?
Well, I really ought to do a steak, but I don't think I've got one thrown out.
Mm.
Bacon and eggs, maybe. I do have scrapple. Maybe I'll do scrapple and eggs. That's what I was going to do for breakfast, and I never got around to it. So I need to take a steak out and put it in the fridge.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Lloyd wants to know what about your pot pie? Have you got any of it left over?
Yeah, it's frozen. I froze.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had one pot pie and then a bag of the uh, material. They're both in the freezer. Pizza casserole. I do have a pizza. Oh well, let me show you this. This is kind of different. You're into pizza. Tell me what you think of this. Oh, let me go
Yeah,
get
I love pizza. That's pretty much my favorite food group. So,
it new here.
and yeah, Double R, you're right. If you have an air fryer, you won't need to thaw the steak because, yeah, air fryers are awesome. Adam says it's Italian night at FF's.
Right. Oh dear. All
How
right.
do you?
Tell me what this is. It's a DiGiorno. It's called Deadpool Wolverine, the Wade Special.
I've never tried that one.
It's got classic crust,
Mhm.
pineapple and black olive,
Ooh, that's gonna be good.
flavor one of one, it says. It's sweet, it's salty, it's not just for mercs, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure what a merc is, but hey,
I believe
that
it.
sounds good.
Classic crust, crispy thin, the Wayne Special pineapple. I think maybe I'll do that. Let it thaw, put it in the oven. I smoke my steak. Now there's a cool idea.
Oh yeah, smoked steak is good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Spinach pizza. Spinach pizza, like pasties in Michigan, but no one knows what they are if they're from out of state. Yeah, I knew what pasties are. That's actually a British dish. It's a meat, like a meat pie. Air fryer, never used. I like air fryers. Medium
Yeah.
rare, medium rare is good. I'm into medium rares. Holly Gibbs. Hey, Holly. Nice to see you. House of Pisces. Turtle power, he says. And Rob says, Father Fish, that is not for diabetics. I know. Neither neither are these things. And I've been munching on them.
Oh man, yeah, those are
Oh,
good.
man.
Uh, I've got it where I just tell my husband do not buy those because everybody in my house but me is diabetic, and we all get started on those because they're so good.
Oh, they're terrible. Put it back in the freezer, says Rob. Charcoal grill with wood chunks. That sounds good. Suggestions on ways to transfer live plants. I can do that. What you want to do is jiggle it. Jiggle it. Little, tiny little jiggles. I just went through this. Was it Wednesday night?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. We were talking about it. We need to get this up as a short. We need to do the jiggle method as a short. Uh, Send a note to Quran to check out the jiggle on Wednesday night, and I'll do it again now. The a rooted plant, the roots, of course, can go way down into the soil, particularly if it's a sword plant. Swords have huge root systems. On each root are tiny little hairs. They're virtually microscopic. I mean, they really are very tiny. But those hairs are what actually attaches to the soil and takes in the nutrients. They're delicate as well. So here's the deal. You grab the plant by the crown. The crown is the part right at the dirt, right where the roots are attached to the stem, and you jiggle it back and forth, up and down, tiny jiggles, not big jerks, tiny jiggles. That breaks all of those little hairs off of the main root, which releases all of the dirt that the plant is attached to. So you jiggle that, break those hair roots off, and then you slowly slide it out, and it comes out with the roots and very, very little dirt. Okay, all right so far. Now you take that plant, if it has a long root system, you can either cut them off, which is okay to do, or what I prefer to do is roll them in a ball and put the ball back down where I want it, somewhere in another tank or somewhere else in that tank or whatever, being careful not to bury the crown. The crown must be at the very level of the soil. Within a matter of 1 to 2 days, all those little tiny hairs pop out. It's almost immediately. They pop right out again. They're not gone, they're just broken off and they pop right back out. And the plant continues then to be able to feed itself. So you're not harming the plant by doing that. You're protecting your soil, and you're allowing yourself to be able to move that plant from one place to another without significantly disturbing the substrate and without getting a lot of dirt in the water column. So try that. That jiggy with that fishy, jiggy with that plant. Yeah. If it's mooing, I'll eat a steak. Hey Bob says pepperoni, pineapple, and jalapenos. I
Yes.
do have jalapenos. I could cut up some jalapeno for the pizza. That would be good.
Yeah.
Father Fish, for a new 10-gallon tank, what's better, rooted or stem? I would say stem. They're going to jump up quicker. They're going to be easier to get in there. If they float, it doesn't matter because they'll grow floated. In a 10-gallon tank, you really do not want an inch of dirt. We just set up how many? For 16 10-gallon tanks yesterday. Uh, Anthony was with me. We went up to PetSmart and bought a bunch of new tanks on sale, brought them back, set them up. We put half an inch of dirt in each one. Now, we did not put sand in yet because all I have is play sand. And I don't want to use play sand. And here's the reason. I want to use pool filter sand. Play sand is much finer and it has a fair amount of clay in it. Now, when I use it, I can put it down dry and then put the water in without stirring it up. So I don't get much in the way of problems with the water column. But here's the issue. We're going to be in those tanks all the time with nets, catching fish. These are going to be the tanks that will have the fish in it that we're selling. So I'm going to use swimming pool filter sand, which is coarser, cleaner, and denser. It'll sit hard on the dirt. It does not compress. Sand does not compress. It maintains its jagged edges, so it still allows for flow. But it also doesn't fluff up nearly as easily as the play sand does. So that's the plan. I'm going up tomorrow to buy 20 bags, 20 bags of pool filter sand. Lord knows what that's going to cost.
Yeah.
A lot, probably 20 bucks a bag anymore. You used to be able to buy it for $7 a bag.
Yeah. And it all depends on where you get it. There's still a small shop in town where I live where you can get it for about 10 to 15. But if
Yeah,
you go to some place like Home Depot, it runs about 20.
yeah. The pool filter store near me is expensive. They're not cheap at all. But that's what I've got to use. I
Yeah.
have I have bought sand from a local sand mine, and I like it, but it's the same issue. It's
Mhm.
really kind of I call it soft sand. It certainly isn't soft, but it has a lot of finer material in it, including clay, which makes it kind of fluffy.
Mhm.
It's easily disturbed. In a stable tank that you're not messing around in much, it doesn't matter. And in fact, it's better because you can get nutrients in it more quickly and easily and be able to grow carpeting plants. It's excellent for being able to grow carpeting plants. I'm redoing some of my big tanks now, and they have that softer sand in it. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is some carpeting plant beds to see if I can get a nicer look in the tanks.
Yeah, that'll look good. Hey, Kim's got a question for you, Father Fish.
Sure.
She wants to know if you could speak on the new method of building the substrate layer with leaves, crushed or whole leaves.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really have only mentioned this once or twice, and it's kind of I was just sort of leading into it. The best way to do this is to put, if you're doing a 2-inch sand bed, put an inch and a half of sand down, and then a finer sand like the play sand. or you can get the crushed slag from Tractor Supply in a powder form. Now, the bag doesn't show powder; it shows fine.
Mhm.
I've gotten two different sorts of that. I've gotten the fine, which was a very small grain, and I've gotten another fine, which was actually powder. I've used the powder. I've never used it on the surface. But if you mix that up with
Mhm.
crushed dried leaves, which you want to get them nice and hard, nice and dry, nice and crunchy, and then crunch them up and crunch them up with your hand as fine as you can make it. Mix that in with the finer sand, and then you can add to that a sprinkle of 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 resurrection jar material. You can even do that after it's down and in the water. What that'll give you is a substrate that still will hold. It'll still retain the precipitants and retain the soil that's under this sand. It's not going to work its way out, but it also will give you a surface layer that has nutrients in it. And that's really a big deal if you're trying to grow very short rooted plants like the Cuba or hair root or any of the other carpeting plants. So try that. It's a bit more delicate of an operation. You got to be more careful with it. It's something you can do after the fact. The difficulty is if you pour it into the water, putting it in the tank, a lot of it is going to stay in the water column. So it's not going to work really well that way. You almost have to put it in before you put water in the tank. You can lower the water level way down, I mean, way down, put it in, and then refill it, and that's okay. You can do that and get away with it if you got half an inch or so of water, and you can afford to do that with your fish. If you do it quickly and replace with the same water, you're not going to really hurt anything. You certainly won't hurt the plants. And again, you don't want more than about half an inch of that. That's all that's needed. There are some other ways you can do it. You can put the food web material in the resurrection jar, and then pour a coarser black sand over top of it, or even a finer sand. There is an extremely fine sand that is clean and color fast that you can get. It is art sand. It's made by a couple of companies. One I know of in Florida that does that sand. It's extremely fine, and it comes in about 16 different colors, but they are color fast. I've used them in tanks with bettas very effectively. I'm going to put an order in for some and display it because it's really kind of a remarkable product. And you can do some very, very colorful things with it that are really quite pretty. All right. What do we have here? Darb wire. Starting to see cyano an inch down into the sand. Anything I need to do? No, nothing at all. Don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt a thing. A solid moam layer is the base of a natural aquarium. Yeah, it really is, Daniel, and it's not all that simple to do. But doing it gives you a genuinely living aquarium. because it'll give you a food web. It'll give you a, a, a rich composted layer on the surface of the substrate that will be full of not just organic material but micro and macroorganisms as well. It also is a media that many fish will spawn in, and many egg scatterers will find their eggs in, which will be protected, allowing the babies to stay in that strata until they get big enough to be able to swim around and get out of the way of predators. So it's really a remarkable thing to be able to do. Holly Gibbs, I'm excited I just shared my first LRB rainbow endlers and Vienna guppies from Kenny with the young fish. Enthusiast here in Illinois. Want to introduce her to the fish farm soon. Sounds really wonderful, Holly. LRB has some absolutely remarkable endlers that are well worth getting and well worth working with. Jules, that's what I use pool filter on the rights rack. I've had gravel for 35 years. Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely the right thing to use. Adam says, my wife says I have jagged edges. I think he means edges. So the word we use for that is gritty. You are gritty. A man a man of true grit. Adam did an interview with me Friday night, Friday afternoon rather, on a broadcast he does. Post the link if you can, Adam. That was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. A man of grit. Ace Hardware. Right, that's where you get it. Ace Hardware.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've never been able to buy pool filter sand there. I have bought play sand, and I bought concrete sand, which is a filler sand, both for use in mixing concrete and leveling pavers or filling in pavers, and that's okay. It's an okay product.
Yeah, every
Uh,
time I check Ace for pool filter sand, they just tell me we're out.
yeah. Russell is saying swimming pool sand will allow out too many nutrients. I don't really believe it does, Russell. I've used it for many, many years and I've really never had a problem. The critical thing, it's got to be 2 inches deep. Now, that may be why it has to be 2 inches deep because I have noticed soil rising up in it. If I've got an inch of soil and I cap it with 2 inches of pool filter sand, within a matter of a month, that soil has risen the a full inch into that sand. I've never had it in the short term come up above that. The only issue is, and I was explaining this to Anthony, as to the importance of leveling the dirt before you put the sand in. If your dirt has hills and valleys in it, if it's got an inch high hill and an inch deep valley, and you put 2 inches of sand in, that valley is going to get filled, but that hill will barely be covered, and that dirt will work through the tank. And that happens routinely if the dirt is not dead level. It's really got to be flat. You can't have it all contoured. It needs to be absolutely level. Now, if you want to contour to the back, I don't recommend that, but you can do it. I would start at a half inch and then bring it up to an inch and then put 2 inches on top of that. Don't contour the sand because then that sand is going to slope back and you'll wind up with not enough sand on the deepest part of the soil. The only way to really be able to get away with building levels of sand is to get the base down, get the 1 inch, get the 2 inches on top, and then build baffles. A baffle is like a piece of flexible plastic, an inch or so high, maybe 8, 10 inches long, that run from one glass around to the other glass in a curve that you can fill in back of it.
Mhm.
And then by letting it flow over a little bit, you get enough of a fall to cover that bevel, and that gives you an inch rise. That will be pretty stable. You can even do it again above that. So there is a way to do it. It was documented very effectively years ago on Green Machine. That's a channel that's still available, and you can find that video on the Green Machine where he builds those baffled layers in order to get a rise, in order to get his substrate to rise in the tank.
That's pretty cool. I never knew that. I never knew that you could put the bevel in there like that. That's pretty cool.
Oh, here's the link Adam has posted.
Yep.
He's got it on YouTube. Oh, wonderful. Daniel Ingalls. Put the soil in mesh aquarium bags at the bottom. Roots can get into it, but can't get out. Well, it can and it can't. The problem with that is that you're then stuck with the roots being in there and not being removable. You can't get those roots out after that because when they grow in there, they're going through a very tiny hole and they get thicker. So the only way then to get the roots to get the plant out is to cut the roots at the level of the bed. Uh, I don't I don't recommend doing that unless you have a very rarefied kind of environment where you have, for example, rock work on top of dirt, where it may be beneficial to do that. But if you've got a sand cap, you really don't need to do it.
Thank
Uh,
you, Adam, for
yeah,
posting that link.
Dallas at Aquashella. Nice, nice. I went to Aquashella a couple of years ago in Florida. Great fun, really a good time. I especially enjoyed the YouTube booth. I hung around at the YouTube booth the whole time and got to meet a bunch of YouTubers that I was happy to have met and shared with.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It yeah, it really was. My grandpa Daniel Ingalls says my grandpa Ingalls pond feeds my resurrection jar, which then feeds the fish in my tanks. He used to grow rainbow trout in the pond. They would eat out of your hand. Oh, how cool.
That
Would
is.
Arab seed be too pricey for a 120? You know what? Not if you buy and mix the soil yourself. If you buy the pre-mixed soil from Father Fish, it's about it's about the same price as Carib Sea. So it's not going to be cheaper to do that. But if you buy the ingredients, there are only three. There's peat moss, potting soil, and black cow, some other kind of compost. Now, for the potting soil, you can use garden soil. For the compost, you can use pond mud or composted soil. from your compost pile. You just want to make sure it's thoroughly broken down. The peat moss can also be coir and any other kind of humic material that's adequately broken down. You don't want to use grass mulch, for example, because it won't be broken down adequately. Theoretically, you can use um, uh, a humic mix, a humus mix. I've never done that, but I've added it to. The only reason is it's really expensive. I add it to my supplement. Here's the other thing you absolutely need to do, though. You need to buy the supplement. It's too expensive to try to get the dozen ingredients needed to mix it, and it's relatively inexpensive. 25, I think it's gone up to $34, 30, 20, I don't remember. 29.95, I think.
It's 29, I
Yeah,
think.
29.95. That'll do 100 gallons, so it's
Wow.
like 29 cents a gallon. It's pretty inexpensive, and it will guarantee the life of the soil indefinitely. It's really a good investment.
Yeah, it is. And it definitely helps. I mean, I've made it just testing it out with a fish bowl using a no supplement versus a fish bowl that had supplement. The fish bowl that had the supplement performed way better.
Oh yeah, no question.
Way better.
Well, see, any kind of soil that you're using,
Mhm.
if you have it planted within 6 months to a year, it will become nutritionally depleted unless you're really working at building a food web.
Yeah.
If you're disciplined about it, you can prevent that.
Mhm.
But the supplement is really a safeguard against that happening. It adds enough mineral content for that for that substrate to last 3 to 5 years without being depleted or before it becomes depleted. In that amount of time, there are enough nutrients beginning to cycle through that tank so that it's being replaced.
Mhm.
So you really can create a long term, permanent, natural substrate like this, 22
Yeah.
years and going strong. Now, it's not getting the explosive plant growth, but I don't have plants in here that are explosive growers. I don't have much of the way stem plants, really very little. There's one here. That may be it. The rest are Vallisneria, um, uh, dwarf sword, Sagittaria, bulbs, Nubia. Well, kind of swords. I should have some other kinds of swords in there. Don't see them. Crypt, did I say crypt? I do have some crypt in here. Oh, that's a sword right there.
Yeah, I just think it's amazing that that tank is going strong after 20 years. I mean, it's something that you would never think could be a possibility until discovering your channel.
Yeah, really.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, which is why I don't like breaking down plants because of breaking down tanks. Because the older the tank is, the better it is. I
Yeah,
was watching a video. This guy does ponds, natural ponds, and he said the older the pond is, the more life it has in it,
absolutely.
the more natural it is, and that's absolutely right on the money. The older the tank is, the more life it has in it. That's the nature of nature, to be cumulative, to build itself, to become stronger and richer and healthier. That's the nature of nature, to become healthier, not to become weaker, not to die out,
Mhm.
not to fail. I mean, there can be environmental conditions like a deep freeze or flooding or no rain or some other bizarre condition that will dramatically affect the ability of the substrate to sustain life. But if all things being equal, if it continues to rain and the sun continues to shine and it doesn't get down to freezing 6 months out of the year, that environment is going to continue to grow and thrive. And the warmer it gets, the more carbon there is, the more it grows. This notion that carbon somehow is destroying the earth is utter nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. Precisely the opposite is true. And warming is vastly preferable to cooling. Cooling brings about ice ages that kills everything. Warming increases life, increases biomass, causes more plants, more animals, more diversity, a healthier environment. Every time there has been global warming throughout recorded history, going back 1,500 years, where we've been able to document global warming trends. Every time the temperature has gone up 5 degrees, human beings have been healthier, they have grown stronger, populations have increased, culture has developed, the world has been a safer, a healthier, and a better place. Why in the world would anyone take the position that we want it to get cold or we want to stop feeding plants?
Hmm.
How utterly demonic that mentality is. And it is just that. It is demonic.
Hmm. Yeah, it is.
Environmentalism, the perversion of concern for the environment, so called environmentalism, is nothing of the kind. It is anti environmentalism and it is demonic. And our aquariums prove it. Prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the way the father fish method is set up, the tank produces its own CO2, which feeds the plants. I mean, it really does prove.
Let's see. Daniel is saying 100% father. If I were doing it commercially, I wouldn't do it. I mean, 40 gallon has the mesh bags with soil, and so far so good. Tank's been set for about a year and a half. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It absolutely works. It's absolutely effective. Um, the only single issue I have with it is that root thing. And for most people, it's not an issue because most people, once they get a plant going, they're not going to be moving it around. I do it because I'm selling stuff all the time, so I'm forever ripping plants out of the tanks to sell them, which I'm hoping to stop doing. But I really know better because somebody's going to say, "God, I love that plant. Can I buy that from you for $95?" And I'm going to say, "Get me a bag."
Right?
Oh my. Painting with Wendy is catching baby half-bakes. Oh, how cool is that?
That is.
Uh, they do really well on baby brine shrimp until you can get it big enough to feed blackworms. That's really, really cool. Long family show. Christian B, love the sea free short. Do you have that up? Can you get it up? Is there a long version? No, we don't have a long version of the sea freak. We'll get
Let's see.
Dina to bring it up here. So,
Is can I bring it up because I'm still new to learning this side of Yard Stream, the side that you're able to see. So can I bring it up as a link? Because it's on my iPad in the other room.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, you certainly can. Then anybody can watch it. I won't
Okay.
be able to show it,
Oh.
but that's okay. You know what? I bet you I can. Try
Yeah.
it. Let's see. I don't know if I can do it or not. I don't think it'll work, but let's try it. That'll be interesting. Ah, tell you what, let's do this one.
Deep in the water where the fish roam free, we're building a food web, a tiny world to see. Leaf litter. Deep in the water where the fish roam free, we're building a food web, a tiny world to see. Leaf litter from nature, providing a home. From microphone and microphone, I'm no longer alone. We collect the leaves, the water and the creatures in ponds, rivers and streams. Our ecosystem features, creating a balance in this underwater land. With every piece connected, our food web will expand. Creating a balance in this underwater land. With every piece connected, our food web will expand. Building the food web in our aquarium today, feeding our ecosystem in the most natural way. Leaf litter provides the perfect home for all, a thriving underwater world standing proud and tall. Microscopic life hiding and thriving beneath the surface of the water, a delicate motif. As we watch them flourish in a tiny space, we see the importance of maintaining a place. We care for our aquarium with love and dedication, knowing that every element plays a vital relation. From the smallest to the largest, every creature has a role. Together they create our monometer. Building the food web in our aquarium today, feeding our ecosystem in the most natural way. Leaf litter provides the perfect home for all, a thriving underwater world standing proud and tall. Aquarium today, feeding our ecosystem in the most natural way. Leaf litter provides the perfect home for all, a thriving underwater world standing proud and tall. Building the food web in our aquarium today, feeding our ecosystem in the most natural way. Leaf litter provides the perfect home for all, a thriving underwater world standing proud and tall.
Hold it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
I always forget this part.
In the water where the fish roam free, we're building a food web, a tiny world to see. Leaf litter from nature, providing a home for microflora and microfauna. No longer alone, we collect the leaves, the water and the creatures in ponds, rivers and streams. Our ecosystem features, creating a balance in this underwater land. With every piece connected, our food web will expand. Building a food web in our aquarium today. Feeding our ecosystem in the most natural way.
Thanks, guys. And yeah, I
Yeah.
can give you guys a link. Now, the link I'm going to show you isn't me singing, it's just AI. But that was me singing a second ago when I can remember the words.
Right. She wrote the words,
Mhm.
mind you. I wrote the words for the little fishies about 2 years ago. But Dina wrote the words for these songs, and they're so cool. Just so cool.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
like
really
Feral
neat.
Cat something. Yeah.
I'm working on getting that link real quick.
Um, do I have these songs uh, uh, in on my website? My Fatherfish songs.
You know, I don't know. I know there's one you might have it on the playlist. I don't know. I haven't checked that playlist. I found it on my playlist, but I don't know if it's on your playlist. It might be.
Jewel, 46 gallon. What would you stock it with? I just put an order in today. You know what? I'll give you the list. Let me
Yeah.
tell you what I ordered today. Let's see if I can find the list. Now these are going to be the initial order for the shop.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you're gonna stock it with.
Yeah, me too. Come on, bucket. Let's get the bucket. There it is. Okay. Paleotis Cory, Blue Ram, Chocolate Cichlid, Geophagus cerenamensis, Longfin Zebra Danio, Assorted Fancy Guppy, male and female, Scarlet Batis, Trifasciatus, Trifasciatus pencilfish, Leopard Puffer, New Guinea Rainbow, Phoenix Rasbora,
Wow.
Rasbora Het, Borneo Sucker, lost my place, Autocinclus, Red-tailed Shark, Black Neon, Bleeding Heart, Cardinal Tetra, Congo Tetra, Gold White Cloud, Lemon Tetra, Longfin Surfing, Neon Tetra, Rummy Nose Tetra, Serpe Tetra, White Cloud, Horned Nearite, Olive Nearite, Tiger Nearite, Zebra Nearite, Yellow Band Tropheus morii, Spathodus marleri, which is an unbelievable fish. I think I've got a picture of that.
I've never seen one.
Black Ghost Knife, Red Beckford's Pencilfish, Dwarf Emerald Rasbora, Threadfin Rainbow, uh, Doradal Rainbow, Himalayan Rabbit Snail, and Broken Bar Cichlid.
Wow.
So that's the first order. That's a $600 order.
Oh yeah.
I want to show you. I want to show you this fish. This is the Spathodus. Let's see if I can get it to come up. Uh, there it is.
And yeah, Daniel, that is a big fish order. Oh wow.
Is that cool?
That is. I love the teal spots.
Yeah, they're really expensive fish.
Oh, I bet.
I got four, and of course they're going to be juvenile. So these are $100 fish.
Oh, easy.
A retail $100 fish or more. I mean, they're really expensive fish. But I decided to get one thing that was extraordinary. So,
Yeah.
And that was the neatest oddball they had.
That is a pretty fish.
Isn't that a neat fish?
Yeah, it is.
I
Yep.
really like goby. It's kind of it has the feel of a goby. It is
Yeah.
not a goby, and it's from Lake Tanganyika, so it's one of the oddball Africans.
Hmm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's quite a list of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That is a long list of fish. And
Yeah,
actually, the Nearite snails, you named some of those that I haven't seen. So that's actually pretty cool too with the snails.
yeah. Now those nerites, all of these fish are going to be available for
Hmm.
sale as we begin to get them up.
Hmm.
I wholesale through Seagrass Farms. I'm trying to get a New York supplier. It's New York is difficult to deal with. They don't ship. They only deliver locally,
Mm.
and so far I've not found anybody with a really good list. So I'm looking. I don't want to buy from Dolphin. They used to be here on the East Coast. They no longer are. They're West Coast, and they really are selling box lots. And I can't use that kind of volume. So I don't prefer cigarettes, but I get I get decent fish from them. I don't get losses. I get 24-hour delivery. Fill rate is not bad. Prices are a little high, but here's the problem. They supplied all the big box stores. That's their primary business is big box stores. I
Mhm.
happen to know the manager who used to be the owner. They're now owned by Central Pet, which is a huge global conglomerate.
Mm.
She's been able to maintain a good diversity of product, so you still can get some oddball stuff, even though the price has gone up 3 and 4 times what it was
Mm.
2 and 3 years ago. But
Yeah.
that's true for everything. So
Ain't it?
Holly is saying her val is over 5 foot. That
Oh, awesome.
probably is a sag, Holly.
Wow.
Um, look at the crown on a val. The crown is like a palm. Like
Hmm.
it has leaves coming out like it's flat, kind of. On a sag, it's round. Everything's sort of coming out of a central ball. But you can see on the valve it looks like a fan. See which it is. That's the simplest way to tell the difference.
Those
Zebra
are,
Pinto are wonderful, aren't they? Yeah, they had some uh, blue and green phantoms, and I really want to get them, but Lord, they're expensive.
yeah.
I was shocked at wholesale how expensive they are. Jill says I'll drive for you. Who's he talking?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out too.
Is he in New York?
Yeah, maybe that's what he's talking about.
Timestamp. Where are you located, Jules? Let's see. Prasant Kulkarni. Prasant Kulkarni. Father Fish, greetings from Ireland. What are your thoughts on community fish for a new 15-gallon planet? I have 6 cherry barbs, 4 pandacories. What should be a good addition? Gee, cherry barbs. Cherry barbs are okay. And pandacories, you could do some tetras. Uh, it's a 15-gallon, not a big tank. I would do small fish, some tetras. Guppies, you certainly could put guppies in there.
Mhm.
Platies. Platies would be good. They're colorful.
Yeah, platies and guppies are really simple too.
Yeah, yeah. Craig's Catfish Cave is here. Hello, Craig. Yeah, really. Yeah, they do. I've got some in a 15 tall that's probably 5 foot long. It just keeps curling around on itself. They're pretty neat.
Oh, and Jules says that he's in New York.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Ghazi. Hello, Ghazi. Um, well, we could maybe work something out.
Oh, they
I would rather do that than ship overnight, frankly.
Mhm.
It's about a 2.5 hour drive. So for me, it's an all day trip to go up. And I really, at this point, I can't afford to take a day to go buy fish,
Yeah.
which is the other reason I do Secret. Because I can sit at my computer, put an order together,
Mhm.
call it in, and have it in 2 days. 1,500 bucks. My God, that's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. ZX and I are saying my Petco has all the same fish. I dare say they're buying from the same company. So yeah, they're kind of access. There's some they will not have
Mhm.
that I've got that they simply aren't going to carry because they're too pricey or too oddball. But yeah, I tried not to get the most common, but tried also to get fish that are colorful, that are pretty hardy, and that I got about 10 of each as well. Lloyd, see my first vampire, 40 bucks at 4 inch. That's a really good price, Lloyd. A
I
really
haven't
good. That's a wholesale price.
I've never seen a vampire pleco. I've got to look that up.
They're very pretty. They have spots. There are two of them. There's one I really like. I think it's called the green. I don't remember, or blue. It's a kind of a sea green with tiny white spots all over it.
Okay, those
Vampire
are adorable.
Vampire pleco is another one. Yeah, pretty fish.
Wow, yeah, those are pretty.
Honey Grammy is a nice fish. That's a yeah. Honey Grammy is fine. Not at all aggressive. Jules is saying North. He lives in North Carolina. Who
Mm.
said he lived in New York?
Well, he said, "Oh, I misread it. He said he could drive you to New York, but living in North Carolina, that's a pretty good ways away."
That's a bit of a haul,
Yeah.
really. Oh, to New York. I see.
See, I'm gonna work on downloading this image. They're wanting to see the vampire pleco.
I could probably do it.
Yeah, my computer decided to update last night, so everything's working a little bit differently. See. Got it downloaded, right? So let's see if I can add
Yeah,
it.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's a very pretty fish. Yep, that's the same one I was looking at. They are so cute. I think it's so funny they call it a vampire pleco, but it's just adorable. It's like the vampire crabs. They're adorable too.
Right. Let's see. You ought to be able to. Yeah. Let's see if there's. Oh, here's another one.
Yeah, and Daniel's right. It's like the polka dot pleco. That would be a good name for it. And it does look a lot like the starry sky. Holly, yeah.
Yeah, there's the polka dot.
And that is pretty.
Now the let's see the green vampire. The green. What did I call it?
I think it was green speckled vampire.
Nah, what was it? Can't remember. Lost
Oh,
track of it.
let's see.
I don't know.
Yeah, it showed up a green one over here whenever I typed in green green vampire pleco. That is a pretty fish. Actually, I can get this doing right.
There it is.
Yep, that's what I was trying to send you, but it's acting weird for some reason.
I think I got it. Let me see if I can get it to come up.
Yeah.
There it is, right there.
That is a pretty pleco.
Yeah, right. Enough of this.
Hey, it says some beautiful fish that I have never seen plecos like that. I've just seen more of the common plecos.
Yeah, these are the so-called L series.
Mm-hmm.
They're deep water plecos. They're wild caught, nearly all of them. Um, although there more and more of them being bred in captivity. Let's see, Darwar, what's the change that happens that gets a fatherfish tank ready for val and swords? Is it the dirt going up in the sand, the poop going down, something else? I think it's the chelation, which is something that has not been studied much. It has to do with the compounds that are being created as nutrients by by the by the interaction of various elements, chemicals and or minerals in the supplement. As they react to each other, those reactions create new compounds. And once that process is completed, the original elements are no longer there, but all of these new compounds are. I think it really has more to do with that. So it's a kind of an aging process in which finer and finer materials. By fine, I don't mean small. I mean more more refined, more complex materials, nutrients are being created out of that cauldron of biological activity that's going on in the soil, that's creating higher and higher orders of nutrients, which higher and higher orders of plants require for their natural growth, which is why certain plants cannot grow in a brand new tank because it doesn't have the right nutrients. It takes a maturation process that may take years for that to occur in order for the it's the interaction of bacteria, plant hormones, and and the minerals and other biologicals in the soil all interacting to create the specific nutrient that's needed by a specific plant. And it doesn't exist prior to the plant triggering bacteria to create that specific nutrient. That is why fertilizers are so destructive of natural plant growth because they short circuit the hormonal activity of the plant, forcing it to take up nutrients to grow leaves when it wants to grow roots. And so you have a plant like corn, for example, that has virtually no root system, but huge leaf stalk fruit system. That's a function of fertilizers. Um, it's a function of what the plant is fed from the earliest Indians on, feeding them fish to the most current iteration of, of, of corn ferts that create enormous corn crops, but do not create plants that are able to sustain themselves.
Yeah, they pretty much have no roots when they're grown like that.
Well, not even to mention the fact that it's a grass,
Yeah,
so it doesn't really grow forever anyway.
that's true. Hey, Darkwire's got a really good question for you, Father Fish. So, Father Fish, could you float a massive amount of stem plants with nothing planted in the substrate and wind up with a tank ready for swords or even carpeting plants?
That's a good question. Probably not, because the activity of the plant is going to be in the water column. They would have to be planted for that activity to occur at any kind of distinct rate in the substrate. One of the things that we've really worked at doing with this sand cap is separating the soil from the water column. Now that was one of the problems that Waldstead had with her early iterations of a dirted tank. Using gravel did not create that separation, and as a result, her nutrient soil became depleted
Mhm.
very quickly.
Yeah, it
It
does.
also caused, by virtue of the water washing out nutrients by flushing through the gravel, it also created a high level of algae issues. So we resolved those problems by creating a deep sand bed that would prevent that from happening.
Yeah, Adam's right. The plants that he's saying that plants that he got from you thrive with zero added fertilizer. With
Well, and
zero fertilizer added.
that's because he's got a deep substrate in the tank that is
Mhm.
providing the resources for the plants to get precisely the nutrient they need.
Mhm.
If that substrate were depleted, that would not be the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adrienne Maravilla, Blue Nose 32. L is never ending with a morphs. Um, L is not a morph distinction. L is really a species distinction. The L series are series established by speciation, I guess. Um, there are morphs, but they're not granted uh, species status. The L series are specifically related to identifiable species. Sparkling and croaking gouramis are cool. They absolutely are. I think I've got both of them now. The sparkling and the croaking are tiny little gouramis, but they really are. They're inexpensive. They're hardy. They're fun. They're the sparkling is very pretty, and the croaking really does croak. They're just very
Huh.
cool fish. Dennis Potter from South Bend. Need to give Dennis a wrench here. Well, it does look like a snowball, doesn't it? I think it probably is. Polka dot, starry sky. Sort of like, yeah, the starry night.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
Daniel Ingalls has a question for you, Father Fish. Wouldn't a morph be a subgroup of any certain species? Because I was curious about that too.
no,
No?
no, not necessarily. A morph, a morph is, in its strictest sense, a a genetic anomaly.
Yeah.
It's a fish that occurs out of two adults that has a characteristic that neither of those two adults are displaying.
Hmm, that makes sense.
A good example is albinism.
Hmm.
Albinism is a morph. You can breed two animals uh, that are carrying. I think they both have to carry a recessive al, al, albinism trait, gene trait,
Hmm.
and they can create an albino, which is a morph. Another kind of morph would be a, a fish born with extra large fins,
Hmm.
with a unique coloration, with some other anomaly, some other unusual characteristic that does not appear in the known uh, 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 um, record of those fish breeding. So it's not a separate species. It's not even a subspecies. It is the same species, but with a different characteristic. a
That makes
unique characteristic. But here's the thing, it's a characteristic that exists in that species gene pool.
hmm
Crystal Hamner is saying, I've recently seen tanks set up with no substrate using plants that require no soil, like Java fern, Anubias, shrimp, snails, small fish. Thought about the sustainability of such a tank. Well, the problem with such a tank is it needs to be fed. Now, granted, plants like Anubias and fern are feeding on uh, dissolved nutrients in the water column. The issue is what is putting those nutrients in the water column. If it's fish, other dying plants, food, whatever is going in there, if that's creating the nutrient, then the same conditions apply. But what that means is that it becomes absolutely critical to not get this, to not do water changes, because by doing water changes, you're reducing the very nutrients that have developed in that system to feed those plants.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We want to make the claim that they're draining all the nutrients out, but if they are thriving, they are not draining all the nutrients out. There are, in fact, additional nutrients that are coming into it, or every bit as likely, nutrients that are being created by the confluence of various elements in that water column that are creating the very nutrient the plant needs in order to survive. So by depleting that water
hmm
that is feeding those plants, you're reducing the nutrient level for that plant. In other words, the water coming out of your tap is not what is feeding those plants. It is
Exactly.
nutrients being created in the water column by the confluence of everything else that is coming into it that is creating the nutrients that are feeding those plants. So the last thing you want to do is substantial water changes.
That makes sense because I've been doing your method since September of last year, and I haven't had to do water changes. I just top off the tanks. Well, except with that one back there, because that had a tank problem, so that didn't count. Blowing
Yeah,
front of the glass doesn't count.
Savagit Panique. Can you please suggest solution to blackbeard algae on wood or plants? They come back despite brushing off. Blackbeard algae is a function of a high level of nitrates and an inadequate supply of nitrate eating plants. Now, all plants are nitrate eaters, some more so than others. Vallisneria and swords are very high nitrate eaters. So, by adding rooted plants such as sword plants, Vallisneria, Sagittarius, they will reduce the amount of nitrates that are available in the water column to such a level that the blackbeard algae will no longer be able to survive. Keep this in mind. Algae are the last plants to derive nutrients out of the water column. It is only when the nutrient level is greater than the plants that are in the tank's ability to absorb those nitrates. In other words, when it becomes nitrate flush, that algae such as blackbeard become an issue. One of the things I have noticed about blackbeard is that those people who fight it and fight it and fight it and then give up the fight and decide that, well, it's not so bad after all, shortly thereafter, the blackbeard disappears. And the reason is really quite simple. It has absorbed enough nitrates to be able to starve itself out, and other plants then have taken on more of a role in absorbing those nitrates in order to starve out the blackbeard.
Yeah.
CX9R, so the water out of my taps are not good for us. That's not true at all. The water out of your tap is absolutely perfect. You need and should do absolutely nothing to it. Put it in your tank and begin building a substrate, a natural substrate, and a food web in that tank, and a biomass in that tank with plants and fish that they will then be able to accommodate the water to meet their needs. The plants and the animals in the tank change the character of the water in order for it to be better for them. These people who are constantly changing water are constantly stressing their fish. Now they do it because they don't have a better way of reducing toxic buildup in their tank from excess nutrients. They don't have a deep substrate. They don't have anything like a natural environment. They don't have plants by and large. All they've got is filters and chemicals. And so they're stuck having to do water changes in order to reduce what is toxins lacking those biological mass, that biological activity that converts toxins to nutrients. Ammonia is a toxin. It is converted into a nutrient by plants. They absorb it directly as ammonia. Lacking plants or lacking any other kind of macroalgae or microalgae or any other kind of biomass that is able to absorb ammonia, that ammonia simply spikes until it becomes so toxic that it begins to stress the fish.
Yeah.
That is no way to keep fish. Dumping chemicals in to control it is no way to keep a healthy tank. That is an unhealthy, sick tank that is being sustained by taking extreme measures that are not natural and not at all beneficial.
And that's it. Natural's the best way to go. I mean, you got to think, where are these creatures found? They're found out in nature. It's not like they were designed specifically to be in a sterile box. They're meant to be natural. And giving them that home, they'll be happy. Give them a natural home, and then they're happy.
Diane Altland says, I think that's how the blue angel came about. The blue is found while breeding some angels. In I know people who are responsible for the
Yeah.
blue angel, and it wasn't quite like that. They found tiny little parts of the angel that had blue on them, and they would look for one that had a little more blue, and breed that either back to a parent or to another one with a little more blue, and then with the offspring find something with a little more blue. It was incremental. For a lot of these fish, the changes that we see have been incremental in the breeding of those fish in order to be able to achieve. Guppies are a perfect example.
Hmm.
The hybridized guppies all achieved that place not by suddenly some guppy popping out that had huge, magnificent fins, but
Hmm.
by generations of finding fish with just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until they finally, at long last, produced something with a little bit more that was spectacular.
That's pretty amazing how over time they've selective bred these fish. Where if you look at the original guppy versus what we have now, they look more like a betta fish. Some species
Well,
or some
yeah,
breed.
think about goldfish.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
Think about goldfish are carp. The ancestor of every goldfish is a carp. A carp is a big, ugly fish that lives in the mud. It has no color.
Hmm.
It's not pretty. And yet, over literally thousands of years, an absolutely astounding variety of animals have been bred that have no visible or apparent connection to their ancestor at all.
That's amazing. Because the first time I looked up what the original goldfish looked like, I was I was in disbelief because I'm like, how could this carp fish be related to this beautiful little fan-tailed goldfish?
Really. Darb Wire is saying, I have 6 angels coming at my local fish store. I would assume they're all siblings. Why is them breeding with each other not a problem? It will not be a problem for generations. In generations, they will begin to throw morphs. Here's where the morph thing comes in.
Hmm.
Over a period of time, by that same genetic repeating itself over and over and over, anomalies begin to pop up. And the anomalies can be bent spines, bad fins, any number of things. That the fish that you're buying at the store have probably been bred by an ethical breeder who introduces new stock into their strain on a relatively regular basis in order to be able to maintain the health of the stock. There's a great deal of science involved in selective breeding. Dogs, look at dogs.
Oh yeah.
Dogs are all selectively bred from a single wild dog that no longer exists.
Yeah. And it's really amazing how now, I mean, you got to think about it. A poodle and a German shepherd, they're both still the same species dogs, but they kind of have totally different purposes.
Same species, that's right.
Hmm.
Let's do some product.
That sounds good. Well, we've got the Father Fish supplement. It has 11 key ingredients that will make your tanks thrive. That's the key to Father Fish's 22-year-old fish aquarium. Then you've got the stem plant deal. You actually get 15 bunches of 15 different species, 4 to 5 plants per bunch. And the stem plants are really fast growing. They're really good for setting up in a new tank. And
Free
all of them,
shipping, free shipping 1 to 4 days with a minimum order of $50.
hmm
I'm sorry I had to do that, but we had a couple of people ordering $5 plants
hmm
with free shipping,
yeah.
and that didn't work.
Yeah,
Shipping cost
that'll work.
shipping cost me $10 to $15 to send out a $5 plant. So
Yeah.
that's a $50 minimum.
hmm
So one package and you get free shipping.
hmm And all these plants are also sea-free, which means there's no need for chemical fertilizers, no need for CO2 injections. The rooted stem plant deal has 15 varieties: swords, Vallisneria, Sagittarius, Crips, and the farmer's choice plant. So think of it kind of like a surprise. Then you have the specialty plant pack: 15 varieties: Anubias, floater, fern, moss, and a bulb. And then you've got the Father Fish Complete Soil Substrate. Pretty much with this, it's got the supplement already in it. It's got the humus in it. It's got the compost, everything that you need. And you just put that in your tank, cap it with 2 inches of sand, and you're good to go. It comes in 3 different sizes: 10-gallon, 25-gallon, and 55-gallon. And it's not just good for aquariums. If you're into paludariums or terrariums, this stuff's gold for that too. That's what I'm making. That's what I'm trying to make. It's a paludarium. So, and I know the plants are growing like crazy. They're growing so fast. I'm putting them in other tanks now.
Alrighty, what time is it? How are we doing here?
It is 7:35.
7:30. I've got a half an hour left. Moving right along. Yeah, I had somebody
Mhm.
complain about the size of the plants. Um, we have to buy these plants. We don't farm them. And we buy small plants for these packs. Sometimes they're just 2 inches tall. And they may grow 6, 8, 10 inches tall. I am considering, I have to look at the numbers to see if I can afford to do it. And what I might do is selectively buy mediums for those plants that are simply way small, like some of the crits. Some of the crits are really tiny plants. So I'm looking at that to try to make this package deal um, just nicer. I do want to say, if you get plants that have been, we ship in 2 ways. We ship 2 to 3 days, and that's free shipping with a minimum order of $50. Otherwise, it's $10. Or we ship for $25 overnight. Now, going to California, it's not overnight, it's 2 days. California, Texas, Arizona, Washington State. That's still pretty good, and those plants are going to come in really good condition. They will come in really good condition in 3 to 4 days. But occasionally, the post office delays a shipment for up to a week. We've had some delayed longer. We just give up on them and send out another order. If it's 5 days, 4 days even, and the plants are badly wilted, there's a very good chance If the roots if the stem is firm and the roots are white, then the plant is not harmed. The leaves may be wilted, but leaves wilt anyway. If the stem is firm, if it's squashy and soft, it's not firm. It's dead. If the roots are brown, it's not good. It's dead. But if the roots are white and the stems are firm, it is still a healthy plant. Go ahead and plant it. If you can plant it anyway, but chances are, if those roots are brown and the stem is soft, it's not going to make it. When that happens, we will replace the order, no questions asked. The only issue is we would like you to help us by sending us the cost of shipping, which is typically $10. We have never had a shipment fail that was shipped overnight or 2 days. Simply doesn't happen. It only happens when the plants are in the box for 4 days or more. 4 days or more. Sometimes 4 days is okay. If it's not too hot, if it has been sitting on a tarmac half the day or sitting in a delivery truck an entire day, so long as it's been handled properly, at 4 days it'll be okay. But if it's not, we will make it good. Again, I simply ask that you notify us and uh, and send us the shipping for it. That helps us be able to cover the cost of that shipment.
Did you get it?
Post office doesn't make anything good.
Yeah.
They're totally, unless they lose it, which they never do. They never lose it completely. It might take a month to get there, and I've had that happen.
Oh, Kim's curious. Who was the lucky person who won the plant trimmings yesterday in yesterday's video?
Nobody yet. I haven't sent it yet, but I got somebody picked out, so it's covered, and I will announce that as soon as I got to go back and look at the comments in that video because there was one that I selected. So that's going to happen. Yeah, I spoke too quickly there.
It happens.
It was fun to do that.
Hmm.
NC's pleco cavers. Hello, hello. Darren and I had fest of them. Black skirt tetra, Cory, and common pleco. They've destroyed 3 of the $60 plant pack, including Amazon's. What's doing it? Fest of them should not be. I've got fest them with mine. The common pleco is undoubtedly what's doing it. A common pleco will eat plants. I don't permit common plecos in my tanks, partly because they get 3 feet long. They grow into absolute monsters.
Yeah.
Also because they are unethically farmed.
Didn't know
And
that.
by that I mean in the 1950s, there were a group of farmers who asked permission of Florida Fish and Wildlife to turn plecos loose in canals in Florida in order to create a population that could then be harvested. The process is this. The pleco grows to about 2 foot before it is ready to spawn.
Mhm.
It then digs a hole in the side of a canal. It's a cave that is deeper than the fish's lung. So it's a cave that goes in on nearly 3 feet.
Wow.
It goes in there, it entices a female. That's the male doing this. Entices a female to go in and lay eggs. The eggs are in a ball about the size of a grapefruit, and it looks a lot like a grapefruit. They're then fertilized, and the male protects that until they hatch and flood out into the water column. Well, in this late spring through midsummer, these fish are spawning, and there are people, harvesters, we'll call them, who take rowboats up and down the canals, reaching into these caves that are below the water level, mind you, right at and just a little below. They're not deep down. They're right at or just below the water level. Reach down in there. If they find a pleco, they pull them out, and then they grab the egg mass, pull
Mhm.
it out, and throw it in a bucket. They take that egg mass, which contains thousands of eggs,
Mhm.
to a farmer. The farmer used to pay $5 for a ball of eggs. He now pays about $25 for a ball of eggs. He throws it into his pond, which he has prepared uh, with meal, like a corn meal. It's a seed meal that grows microfauna. The eggs hatch and the babies begin feeding on this microfauna. Within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, he's in there harvesting little plecos that are an inch long. They grow pretty quick. It is harvesting them out and shipping them out by the thousands, shipping
Wow.
them out at 10 cents a piece, 20 cents a piece, whatever the market is bearing at that point. They wind up being bought very cheaply by wholesalers who sell them very cheaply to resellers, retailers who sell them for a buck or two or three or four in their pet shop. By then, they're going on 2 inches and they sell them cheap. And some unsuspecting hobbyist buys this little pleco, puts it in their tank, and within 6 months, it's 6 to 8 inches long,
Mhm.
and it keeps growing. By a year, it's a foot long. In 2 years, it's 2 foot long. I consider it an unethical practice
Absolutely.
because it is creating a population of fish that must be killed because there is no option but to kill them. So they get thrown out in creeks, they get flushed down the toilet, they get thrown in the trash can, they get thrown in ponds, or they become an absolute denizen in that tank, destroying everything in the tank.
Mhm.
Do not buy common plecos. Do not buy them.
Mhm.
Spend the ex. If you want cleaners, buy auto sinklets.
Mhm.
Buy Chinese algae eaters. don't buy common plecos. You can buy um, you can buy a bushy nose pleco for 10 to 15 bucks,
Mhm.
little or less, and they 3 to 4 inches, and they're perfectly happy, perfectly effective fish to have in your tank. Do not buy common plecos.
Yeah, because you don't want to have a 3-foot monster in your tank.
Yeah, it'll destroy everything in your tank.
Yeah.
Dragonstone is apologizing because he's late. Well, better late than never, Dragonstone.
That's it.
You got 10 minutes to enjoy it, but then you got 2 hours to watch it.
Hey, that's true. You can always go back, rewind, and watch.
Right. Yeah. Kenny is saying, I have a total of 10 of them I've taken from people. I had to stop taking them. 3 of them are over 2 feet now. I saw one once 4 foot long. And I
Wow.
heard a story. I heard a story of a kid fishing,
Mhm.
and he said he had this monster on his line, and he pulled and he pulled and he pulled, and he finally got it to stick its head up above the water, and it was that wide,
Wow.
14 to 16 inches wide. He said it was a pleco. Well, if it was 8 feet long.
Yeah.
Now I don't believe that, but it's a good example of
Right.
what's wrong with these animals. Plus the fact that they destroy the natural environment. They become so populated that they eat up everything and drive other fish out. They destroy fish nests. The burrowing into the walls of the canals causes the canals to collapse and mud up. They're an absolute disaster on every level. Don't buy common plecos.
There's a lot of really nice plecos that aren't common plecos, though.
Yeah, Daniel said he got a bristle nose for $5, which is they're cheap. They're as cheap as a common pleco anymore.
Hmm.
Get rid of it, Darren. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Eat it. I developed a program while I was in Florida that I did not have the opportunity to pursue. But what it was called was pleco on a stick. And my plan was to introduce deep fried pleco at the city fair, at the state fair rather.
Yeah.
Deep fried pleco at the state fair, pleco on a stick, because it's highly edible.
Hey, there you go. If
And
it overpopulates, that would
yeah,
be
it's
perfect for a
right.
food source.
It's actually a delicious fish. A little hard to get to the meat, but that was part of the reason I never pulled it off.
Yeah. Did you ever actually eat one of them?
Oh yeah, I can.
What
Yeah,
did it taste
the
like?
meat tastes like, what's it taste like? It tastes like brine.
Yeah.
It's a nice firm meat. It's not real
Hmm.
soft. I'll tell you what's a horrible meat,
What?
fish meat.
What's the horrible one?
Um, God, just lost the name.
Oh no.
It's a fish that's common to Florida waters. It's called a mudfish.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those. Yeah, no, don't eat those.
Nasty, nasty. I
Yeah,
caught
they
one
are.
once. I was all excited. Caught this beautiful fish about that big.
Hmm.
Rolled up, cooked it. It was mush
Yeah.
and had no flavor. I mean, it was just utterly disgusting.
Yeah. They no. That you don't want to ever eat one of those.
Yeah, Darren said in the Amazonas they catch them all the time. Yeah, it's a good food. Pleco kebab, right? The hot dog on a stick, right? pleco on a stick. Is there an extra step to the method for brackish water? No, not an extra step, but a different step.
Mm.
I tried doing brackish with freshwater substrate. It doesn't work. You need you need substrate that is brackish.
Mhm.
It's a completely different environmental biomass. If you're near brackish water, it's easy enough to collect. If you're not, use sand and buy starter culture. I'm going to be selling starter culture for brackish and salt tanks um, probably this fall. I've got to, excuse me, I've got to get it put together right so I can do it. But it's really quite simple to do. We're setting up 130 brackish tank now that's going to have a lot of macrofauna in it, as well as native species of goby and little crabs and shrimp and pipefish and sticklebacks and minnows and all that stuff. So we'll be making that available, and it'll be an easy one to keep, a very simple one to set up and keep. The replay gang is coming in.
Yeah, Adam's comments got me tickled. He said fish stick.
Fish stick.
Like a stick. It's the
A
new
fish
type of
stick.
fish
That's
stick.
right. That's right. I need to do that. I really need to do that. I never got it together to do.
I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, the best of them are not eating the plants. Sidious is here. Hello, Sidious. Happy to see you. Sidious is my hero. Sidious has been the workhorse of our book.
Mhm.
He absolutely has. He's been putting it together in excruciating detail.
Mhm.
And he and Abadu is now doing the final edit, the master edit of the book. So
Wow.
as soon as that's done, I'm going to take a quick look at it and we're going to publish it. And then we will make additions and corrections. We're going to publish it as an ebook with lots and lots and lots of pictures. It's going to be really quite nice and it'll be very reasonable. So we're going to publish that and then we'll look at where we're at the first of the year in terms of publishing a hard copy. We want to be able to. It'll depend on how it's doing and how much rewriting we need to do. But it's going to be a finished piece. It's going to be easy to read, a good read, well put together. It's going to be a very enjoyable, I think, about a 250-page document that I think everybody is going to enjoy. City says, I need better hope. Yeah, I dare say.
That was pretty good.
Uh, oh, do, Darb. I would tell him I'm going to eat it. In fact, I would take it home, feed it up, cook it, and take it back to the next meeting as a specialty dish. Absolutely.
Oh,
Over $1,000 invested by 1,000 hours. Oh, probably much more than that.
probably.
I'd be surprised if it's only 1,000 hours. I
Yeah,
mean, I know Tommy and my Eve have been writing for a year or more,
yeah.
and they're doing 20 hours a week. So there's 1,000 hours each right there. That's 2,000 hours. Sidious has got 1,000 hours. That's what
Easy.
it's talking about. Plus all of the other effort. It's probably, in truth, closer to 5,000 hours.
Mhm.
I'll bet.
That sounds about right. Yeah, there's been a lot of work went into this book.
Shop. It's getting a wrench. Could hatchet fish live in electric blue, gouramis, and red-eye tetras in 29? Yeah, probably. I don't think the Akara would bother them. Hatchet fish stay at the top. They're a surface fish. They don't come down below. Just maybe dark for a second, but they're at the top looking for things that are falling on the water. So you want to always have a lid because they jump. They will jump out of your tank. Sure as day. Yeah, it is critical if you have hatchet fish to have a lid on the tank. Doesn't need to be big or heavy, but there needs to be a lid. Yeah, Grab Gun, get over on Discord on our Fatherfish show and let's take a look at this and see if we can figure out what the problem is.
Yeah, there's the link to the show. Make sure to get on there because you can ask so many things. You can have your own members channel. There's an ask for help section. There's a
Yeah,
special
that's the
section
Discord Fatherfish show. Yeah, click on that and get over there. Yeah, one thing I must admonish you, it is absolutely critical that you read the rules.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not read the rules, you will not be able to get in. And if you read the rules, you'll learn why that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the rules are so critical, it's that reading the rules is so critical. Added it to pick submissions. Very good. Um, no, added to need help.
Mm-hmm.
Added to need help. All righty, I think we're down to it here, guys. It's 8 o'clock. What do we
It's
have?
been fun.
What do we have we've been playing?
What you say? I couldn't hear you, Father Fish.
What do we have we can play? We can play Ripsaw. Father, the fish is gone. I said, oh no, there it is. I've still got it. Let me see if I get it out. Dooby doo. You know what?
Oh,
This
oh,
it's
Shave
not
has a question for you.
sure.
I have a question. I have a blue light in my little tank. Is this just for aesthetics for people? Because I read an article, it can be detrimental for fish in the long term, so I haven't used it.
I
I
missed
don't
that.
know.
Do it again.
Okay. I have a question. I have a blue light in my little fish tank.
A blue
Is
light.
is
Okay.
is this just for aesthetics for people? Because I read an article that it can be detrimental for fish in the long term, so I haven't used it.
I don't think it's detrimental. It's a night light. Treat it
Yeah,
as a night light.
yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go.
I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. I love my
My
little
little
fishes
fishing,
as
as
they
they
swim
swim about
About
their
the
home,
when
where
the
the
sunlight
sunlight
light
shines
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 upon them,
upon us,
and
and
the
the
and the
colors
colors
colors begin to
glow.
glow,
I am
and
are
drawn
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 into a
into
into
a
a world
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 where
where
my
my
where my
heart
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 loves
longs
to
longs
to
to
go.
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 I
I imagine
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 scenes
scenes
of
scenes
of
of
beauty
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 and
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 feel
feel
the
the
feel the
warmth
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 of
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 your
love.
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 I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. I have traveled the world over, but never found peace that comes from watching my fishes as they swim about their home. My heart is heavy and I am content to sit and watch them swim. I will not be alone while these fishies are in my home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home.
Good night, all. Love being with you. Great to be here. See you Wednesday night. Thank you, Dina.
Hey, thank you for all the fish. See you Wednesday night.
Love you all.
Love you guys.
Bye for now.
Bye for now, guys.
Hear the canary?
Yep. They love this song.